So anyway, he gave me an X-ray, and within a week he had figured out what my problem was, and basically he said physical therapy, great, chiropractics, great, but there's a proper methodology of doing things, and he's going to explain that in this interview. But long story short, like my spine had two curves in it, and he basically has to bend my spine back with this table that he puts me on. This is just specific to my injury because every injury out there is different. I mean, some people hang upside down, and that would be counterproductive for someone like me. It wouldn't do anything for my L5S1. So he's basically working on bending it straight, getting that one curve out, and then what that will do is that will alleviate the bottom where my spine is just pressing on these nerves. And so once that happens, he's been coupling that together with exercises where I get on this Roman chair, which is like reverse sit-ups, and I'm exercising my back. I do a series of other exercises as well to strengthen my core. So what you're doing is you're straightening the foundation, which is your spine, and then you are putting concrete around it. You're making it better. So if you have a cracked foundation to a house, and then you put concrete around it, it doesn't fix the problem, It just coats the problem and allows you to like maybe feel some sort of temporary relief. Anyhow, that's my story. I'm currently on the up and up, and I'm a success story of Dr. Heelgood. I will keep you guys posted because I haven't begun doing any extensive running yet, but I am able to run from point A to point B without going back to square one.
He will be a competitor in the Amazing Race show next year.
Well, I will
not
let
really.
you know. I will let you know. So I'm a believer in Dr. Heelgood, and I just felt compelled that the Spirit was telling me to talk to him. I had also mentioned that I was using heat on my back. Now, I just want to point this out. If you aren't going to listen to this episode, but you're still listening to this intro, just listen to this because basically Dr. Heelgood pointed out to me that 99.9% of the time, you want to ice whatever the problem is. Like, think about the Boy Scouts. In the Boy Scouts, if you fall down, the first thing that you do is you break open an ice pack and you put it on whatever is hurting or whatever you injured. I mean, that's like Boy Scouts 101. So, the thing about heat is heat opens up the blood vessels, but it increases inflammation. So when you go to a hospital, the first thing they do is they would put you probably on heat because it feels good. Like the heat definitely feels good, but it's also making things very inflamed. So after they put you on heat, then they'll give you anti-inflammatory medication. And what that does is just basically puts you right back where you were because they're causing the problem. This is almost like the Hegelian dialectic, isn't it? So then they give you anti-inflammatories, so it brings down the inflammation that the heat is already creating that they're giving you. And then they give you muscle relaxers to make you feel good. But the muscle relaxers just fool your brain and make you think that. And then 4 hours later, the pills wear off and you're worse off than you were.
And really, this really comes back to what Dr. Heelgood talks about in here. They're not fixing the problem. Sometimes we medicate or we treat so many different ways, we're just canceling the other one out. Like putting heat on, it feels good, but you've inflamed it. We give you an anti-inflammatory, we take the inflammation down, but like Sam said, we're just back where you started. We never actually did anything for the problem.
Right.
It's more like taking you in there, we're going to make the problem a little bit worse, give you something to relieve the symptoms, and then give you a muscle relaxation to take the pain away. You're going to think, cool, the hospital helped me. And we're not saying that the nurses and the doctors in those hospitals know all that and that they're doing that deliberately to harm you or to fool you. They really, they honestly believe that they are helping you. And we most certainly don't want to give an impression of otherwise.
Right. And also, what Dan just said, it feels good to have that heat on you or whatever they're doing. It fools us. Just because something feels good doesn't mean it's actually doing something good. And we associate that feeling of goodness, for, oh, I'm better. But think about going to the dentist, like that doesn't really feel good, but it's actually working. I mean, they're cleaning out your teeth. It doesn't feel good. And you sometimes have to go through pain to...
We need to talk to a dentist. A dentist who doesn't use fluoride. All right, so I think that pretty much wraps it up. Sam, you wanna get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who haven't tried chiropractics before, I strongly recommend it. And basically, the type of chiropractics that Dr. Heelgood administers is called chiropractic biophysics, and it's a lot different than your average, patch care, so to speak. So, just sit back and enjoy a great episode with somebody who has a lot of knowledge to just, insert into your brain.
All right, well, enjoy this episode with Dr. Heelgood, and here we go.
This discussion is under the blood covenant of Yahshua.
What a beautiful is it?
Explicitly without prejudice and under reserve.
It's is it?
At a very young age, I was sent to a farm in Long Island. My mother thought I was a little mouthy, thought, hey, if you do a little blue-collar work, you'll smarten up. And so I went there, and oddly enough, farmers hurt themselves all the time, and the first place they go is to the chiropractor. And I never even knew what one was, what they did, or anything. And I just remember that we'd be lifting these huge irrigation pipes full of water, and my uncle would drop to his knees, couldn't even move, and my grandfather would drive an old school Datsun pickup truck down the potato rows, and these, two 12-year-old boys are trying to pick up this 250-pound farmer to put him on the tailgate as he drove through the whole farm into the chiropractor's office. And I remember looking at this other 12-year-old going, I don't know what that guy does, but that's what I'm going to do when I grow up, because in an hour, he'd be back working like it never happened. I couldn't believe it. Here he is stuck, and we have to drive a truck down in the middle of these plants to pick him up, and next thing you know, he's working. So that was my very first experience, and then I ended up with a college injury in soccer where I was told to get back surgery, and I didn't even know where to turn. I'm 5 hours from home. I did the whole neurologist thing, the orthopedic thing, and the orthopedist was like, well, we'll do this incision, and, it's going to be 6-8 weeks, and then after 12, you'll be, you might be able to work out again, and your pain should go away. If not, it will be local to the low back. And I was like, that doesn't really sound that promising, So I went to a neurologist, and he goes, I totally make a smaller incision. And I was like, I'm not really worried about a scar I can't see. I'm worried about being a teenager and not being able to play full out. If you're playing a sport, you want to play full out. You don't want to be like going at a half at it. Why play? So anyway, my mother was like, well, your uncle and grandfather always went to a chiropractor. Why don't you? So I started going, and a chiropractor changed my life. I got rid of leg pain, back pain, and I would dare say I had gone to multiple chiropractors, and like anything, some were good, some were not so good. Some had different philosophies. Some had just different focuses, and that's okay. And they work well for some, and not all, just like anything. And but because of the changes that I had personally, I think is why my passion grew so deeply into a profession that wasn't just a profession to me. To me, it's a lifestyle. And I think that's a big difference. And I would dare say that I would guess about 75% of the people that attend chiropractic colleges have had a personal experience, which is why they went there. They didn't just kind of go through some kind of computer program that said, oh, a chiropractor would be neat to do. They had some experience.
My chiropractor grew up on a farm. He was a Mennonite, and that's why he's in chiropractics today.
I think that's fantastic. It's that personal experience, Awesome.
You just mentioned there's good and there's bad chiropractors, probably, or people that just aren't as good.
I think maybe a different focus would be a better word.
Okay, a different focus.
Yeah, because there's so many different techniques within chiropractic. The layperson would never know that. I mean, you see the sign chiropractor, and the layperson walking down the street just clumps them all the same. They all do the same exact thing, and that's not true. If I had to really narrow it down, without going into 300 plus techniques, there's corrective care chiropractic, which would be like braces on the teeth. It's remodeling the teeth thus changing the function, which is what we do. The other kind would be what we call patch care, which is, hey, you know what? You're removing the wood pile, and boy, something really just caught you in the back, and you're just trying to go in for that quick fix, and you want to get back to the wood pile. And I would dare say that 95% of the chiropractors offer that type of care, and that's what the majority of care that is taught in all the colleges today. And it's not that it's bad. It's, to me, a little bit more drive-through food-like.
Basic. It's kind of like the beginning. You're
Yeah,
tapping
it's
into
just
the
the quick fix.
Yeah. I mean, it gets the nerves flowing.
Yes.
What exactly does chiropractics do to the body? We've had these conversations,
Wow.
but why chiropractics? What does it do? Because I'm constantly having scoffers talk to me,
Sure.
and they're just like, "Come on, you're just going to get a massage." I'm
Sure,
yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a really in-depth question, and it's almost going to be challenging to answer. Chiropractic isn't about just moving the spine. It's not just about increasing your ranges of motion. It's not just a massage, if you will, or soft tissue working on muscles. It's not just physical therapy. The whole idea is to increase ranges of motion in the spine by doing specific adjustments to the spine of the areas that actually need it. So the only way to know that is to have been trained to know what areas actually do need movement and what areas do not. So, I can kind of pick on my own profession in the sense of, here we take 3 1/3 years of x-ray, and only 30% of chiropractors in the field utilize x-ray. So when I say not all chiropractors are the same, well, we have similar training, or at least background training, and then not everyone utilizes all of that. So to me, and this is my opinion, I think that if you walked in the door and you did not receive an x-ray, because maybe they have gone to other chiropractors and they would say, well, geez, my other chiropractor did an x-ray, or geez, I went to physical therapy, they never x-rayed. To me, you not getting that x-ray, first of all, is guesswork. So now we're guessing where we're starting from, which means now we're guessing to know where it ends or where we changed, corrective care into wellness care. But it would be like you going to the automotive shop to get that little clink fixed in your engine that you keep hearing that noise and say, hey, you got to fix this car. It's just killing me, or this noise. But don't pop the hood.
Yeah.
That's how crazy that is to me. But, again, that's their philosophy. So it's not that it's right or wrong. I wouldn't want somebody guessing with my spine. I look at it as if I'm coming to you, you're coming to me. I'm looking at it as, what do you see? And so we're just ultra thorough here, so you have a complete understanding of what's going on. So, I think films are very important.
My chiropractor is actually down in Pennsylvania, where I'm from, and there's a guy from our church, Matt. He's a newer chiropractor, and my wife's been wanting me to go see him instead of tracking an hour and a half down to Pennsylvania.
Sure.
But I called my chiropractor, who I grew up with in my church, who's my youth leader, and I told him I'm not comfortable with anyone touching without seeing my file and my x-rays from him, and he agreed. So he's sending all that up here now, and then actually Matt has requested that I go and get some new x-rays for where I am now.
I think that's great.
And all of that. I would agree with what you're saying. I feel like if you're gonna touch me, I have a long list of injuries, like
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, so
I broke my neck in 8th grade. So
there
let's
you
start
go.
there.
Right.
But if some guy was just to, feel your neck, oh yeah, let's pop this. No, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really need to know where we're starting from.